the outlying areas of the parking lot. So that is the scene here right now.
All right, Carlene Wild, thank you for that update.
I know
that
at the moment it appears there are a few Yep. I was going to just say, Brian, if you can hear me,
yep.
It appears that there really haven't been any injuries tonight other than just some people that have been affected because of the tear gas. The officer that we did speak with just a few moments ago mentioned that it appeared there were gunshots fired over in the northeast part of the lot here near TJ Maxx. That is unconfirmed, but that is what some of the officers were reporting. We're hearing more shots fired of tear gas again in the other end of the mall right now. It's hard to tell how many people are still over there. Where we're at, there are only a few people, but they really are doing what they can to confront the police line.
All right, that's our car as we see.
Brian, that's the latest.
Yeah, we saw the tear gas there wafting from another volley that has been fired out there at the Empire Mall. Quite honestly, we've now forgotten how many volleys have been fired, but tear gas has been used a couple times within the last hour or so, let's call it that. My producer in the booth, Justin, where are we going next?
Lord.
All right, let's go to Zach Borg now. And I believe that Zach, can you hear me?
Yeah, Brian, I can hear you faintly right now. We've just had another tear gas canister deployed, and some of that's wafting toward me. You can see the cop line has been progressing slowly forward. There's been as Carlene said, there's been a steady stream of people leaving. There's a lot of honking going on too. So I think there might be some people still staying in their cars trying to be combative. I'm not quite sure. But there's been periodic booms, I'd say probably every 5 or so minutes maybe. Another tear gas canister gets deployed. It has really emptied out for the last few minutes.
Zach, did I hear correctly?
Apologize, my eyes are watering a little bit.
Do you need to take a breath?
No, I'm fine. I'm just going a little slowly here for a second. I'm good.
Okay, well, I don't think anyone in the world would blame you for that right now. Am I correct in understanding, do you have a shot of, was one of our news cars damaged out there?
Yes. Yes, one of the news cars, I was with Troy Timmerman. The back window has been was broken out completely. There was glass on the ground. We do have that video, so I'll have that back for you later. But Troy's car was a little bit more toward the front of it was toward the back end of the lot. And I'm right now positioned by the Red Lobster, which is a little farther back. But that's the only car I've seen with any damage to it right now. But it was pretty significant.
And can you sort of narrate this for me? The shot that you have up, the shot that we've got from your camera right now, we're seeing a lot of cars apparently driving through the shot. Are those people who are trying to return to the area where all of this has happened? Or are these people that are trying to drive through and get out?
I believe they're trying to drive through and get out. There has been there's been less people coming. You can see there's a reduction in cars. People are leaving. I don't really see any of them going back in. I'm going to zoom in a little with my camera here.
Sure.
And we just had another tear gas canister go off. Excuse me a moment.
Yeah, I can't tell what's going on there, Zach.
There are a few that are going back in right now. I've got a car right here that you can see on your shot is going back in.
The message that we've heard tonight.
So there are a few that are going back.
Oh boy. So the message that we've heard tonight from That police officer that Carlene interviewed to Mayor Tenhaken about 25 minutes ago it's the best idea in the world to not be right there, right now. Because it will make
I would fully agree with that.
Yeah, it will make a bad situation, an already bad situation, much worse. One of the things the mayor mentioned that I think bears repeating is this, that in the live video feeds that we've had right here on KSFY and KDLT, you've been able to tell that a lot of the people that have been involved in this tonight are on the younger side of life, and the mayor specifically making it a point to say, look, if you have a child between the age of 14 and 18 and you don't know where they are right now, get on the phone and give them a call and make sure they haven't been at the Empire Mall, make sure they're not at the Empire Mall. Because this is a truly dangerous situation that we've seen unfold tonight, and it is not over. It may be diminished in a sense, but it's still a very much active situation as we come up on 10:30 on this Sunday night. If you are just joining us.
We're getting a lot more honking right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
I think there are people, I don't know if they're going back in, but there's a lot of honking. I mean, it would seem like that's inciting this at this point. I'll just let the camera roll because you can hear the honking right now.
Yeah.
Now, ironically, it's stopped.
Zach, I know you can't see it.
On one end, you can see one.
You go ahead.
One end, you can clearly see there's they have cleared out on this end. But as you kind of start crunching back toward the middle, around around the Dick's Sporting Goods sign and the Empire Mall sign, there's still a bit of a crunch in there.
Yep. Zach, I got to press pause on you for a second. I'm sorry to do that. Carlene Wild is standing by for us at the Empire Mall.
Okay.
Carlene, can you hear me?
What's up?
Honking because he starts talking over the loudspeaker, the cop does, so they keep honking to drown him out.
Okay.
I didn't know.
I can hear you, Brian, and I'm just going to talk for a little bit here. The battery on my phone is about to die, so if I lose you on IFB, I'll just keep talking here. But just so you know, we were just asked to move. There were some folks that were behind us. Again, these are just a few of the remaining or people that have showed up at the tail end of what had been a peaceful day of protests and are really just instigating problems here. They continue to just be confrontational with the police line that is here in front of the Empire Mall. And some of those that remain actually do have gas masks on. So the tear gas that they have been firing has not been all that effective with the protesters that have clearly come tonight with the intent of causing problems, knowing what they're doing in order to avoid the tactics that would be used to try and disperse the crowd here tonight. We've heard that there may have been rubber bullets fired this evening. We do not have that confirmed. What we do know is that they have been using tear gas throughout the evening here to try and remove the few that are left. It looks like for the most part there are a lot of bystanders, everyone of course with their phones rolling as we've gone throughout the evening. This is one of the gentlemen that has been trying to talk with and engage with the police line throughout the evening. He does have a mask on, and he's one of the few that has remained standing here. There's been a group of about 8 or 10 folks. The rest of the crowd, though, throughout the evening, I just want to reiterate, pleaded with the few that are here to cause problems tonight, pleaded with this part of the crowd to remain peaceful. Remain peaceful. Hang on just a sec. Just hang on. So we've got a lot of people just hanging out. This is actually my husband that's here to bring me a phone because mine is dying. So he's in the shot here. But anyway, you've got a few folks that are just here to continue to watch what's happening despite the police asking them to leave, to go home. There's the emergency order that the mayor's put into place, and it is having very to little to no impact on those that are still here. So we've got some members of the, Brian, I believe you've been talking about this through the evening, the National Guard. I don't know that any of them are here. This is Sioux Falls Police that are dressed in riot gear and holding the front of the mall again to prevent any further damage from being done. We did get a behind the scenes look, or behind the line anyway. So this is, again, this is one of the guys that continues to cause problems here that you're hearing in the background, but a number of the police.
Carlene, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off. Let's go to Governor Noman Peer, who is standing by to speak about tonight's unrest.
You're good? We have people on the line? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Wanted to give you a quick update on the situation going on in Sioux Falls. We have been in preparation for the worst. While we were watching and preparing for tonight, we were in constant communication the last several days with other governors across the country and also with the White House. While we watched the peaceful protests that happened earlier, we also had been prepared for the worst to happen on the ground if that did result. While we welcomed those peaceful demonstrations, once it got violent and moved beyond the protest, we were ready. South Dakota National Guard was staged and ready in position in Sioux Falls, and they took action. Within minutes of the activation order, they were on the ground in downtown Sioux Falls, allowing resources to shift to the mall and help secure the location and continue to be there and have a presence on the ground. This is a specialized unit that's prepared for situations like this. I commend the local law enforcement, the Highway Patrol, and the Guard for being prepared and for acting quickly to take control of the situation at the mall. We take the protection of rights very seriously, including the right to peacefully protest. But rioting and looting will not be tolerated in South Dakota. Make no mistake, mob rule and violence do nothing to honor the memory of victims that have been impacted. With that, I will open it up to any questions that you may have for me.
Governor Bob Mercer with KSFY News. Approximately how many Guard members are there, and approximately how many Highway Patrol are there?
We have 70 Guard members that are in Sioux Falls. We have 26 that are from the 114th Fighter Wing, the Air Guard unit that is based out of Sioux Falls. We also have another 44 that are from the 235th Army Guard. They are military police and trained, and they're specialized units to respond in these situations. We have the vast majority of personnel, and I'm not going to give you a specific number for security reasons for the rest of the state of Highway Patrol officers, and they have been assisting throughout the evening and also are at the mall and downtown as well, and throughout the other parts of the city assisting as well.
This is Lisa with the Argus Leader.
Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, just wondering, how long are they planning to stay, the National Guard planning to stay in Sioux Falls and to be activated?
They will stay there as long as necessary. They've already been there previous to today, and we do have National Guard that are activated throughout the state and different parts of the state to be prepared and to assist if asked. And again, that is the role of the National Guard, is that when they are asked by local leaders that we step in and help. We were proactive and had them pre-staged, so they were on location tonight, ready to go if needed, as they were.
This is Lisa again with the Argus Leader.
Sure.
Yeah, do you know at this point how many arrests have been made?
We do not know that information, and there still is situations going on in Sioux Falls on the ground, and I think that number would continue to change throughout the evening.
Hey, Governor, this is Jerry, WNAX in Yankton.
Sure, go ahead, Jerry.
So what are the specific orders of the Guard? Is it crowd control, law enforcement? What are their orders?
Well, they're specifically trained to be security guards and military police. So they are there to assist local law enforcement, highway patrol, to take what actions are necessary. They do not arrest individuals. They're there to help secure locations and try to keep people safe.
Are they armed?
Yes, they are.
Governor Todd Epp, Keller.com News.
Sure, go ahead, Todd.
Thank you, Governor. Mayor Tenhaken had a news conference at 10 o'clock and said that just from him looking at television video and reports that it seems that a lot of the people participating in this might be youth from Sioux Falls. Do you have any intelligence on if indeed that is the case and if there's others who have come from elsewhere to cause trouble at Sioux Falls?
You know, I think that that will be information that will come to light, and if it is going to be factual, we'll still need to gather some more information on the ground. I'm sure there are local folks that participated, but we're not sure as to how many people that don't live in South Dakota also traveled in for the event.
And if I can follow up,
Sure.
Governor Noem, Governor, if I can follow up, are there any other cities of concern, or some of the other communities, some of the university towns? Are there other places that the state is perhaps expecting some problems?
We have prepared in several different locations in the state and have looked at resources and National Guard presence in those communities. And I won't give you specifics for security reasons.
This is Lisa with the Argus Leader.
Sure, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, on that last question, are you intending or expecting what's happening in Sioux Falls to kind of spill over into other communities?
I'm not, but I also believe in being prepared. So that was one of the reasons why several days ago we visited and worked on preparing our National Guard and moving them and having them in location to areas that they thought it might be necessary to have them provide assistance. So that's why you saw within minutes of the city requesting help, they were on the ground downtown Sioux Falls, securing that location so that local law enforcement and highway patrol could move to the mall and deal with the situation that was going there. And their role is to step in and do that when violence started and with keep security and to make sure that resources were in the right places. Any further questions? Okay, we will keep you posted. Thank you, everybody.
That was Governor Kristi Noem addressing the media tonight, talking mostly about the South Dakota National Guard. Just to recap some of the points that she had made, there were 70 Guard members deployed, 26 with the 114th Fighter Wing, 44 with the 235th Army Guard. They were described as military police. Noem wanted to stress the fact that the Guard took action right away in downtown Sioux Falls so that local police and highway patrol could go to the mall and deal with the situation there. They had been watching the peaceful protest all day, but once it got violent, it warranted the response of deploying the National Guard in Sioux Falls. Again, they allocated those resources downtown so local law enforcement could shift to the mall. Noem wanted to reiterate, she said earlier today and said this quote again, that mob rule and violence do nothing to honor the memory of the victims, in this case being George Floyd in Minneapolis. She mentioned that the National Guard will be staying as long as necessary, responding as long as necessary. She also mentioned that they are prepared throughout the state, but would not give specifics on which other specific communities may be expecting to see something similar to this happening. She wanted to stress the fact that the National Guard was already on location in Sioux Falls so they could deploy as soon as possible and get boots on the ground as soon as possible. She mentioned that they are armed and that their jobs are to be security guards and military police to assist local law enforcement and take actions as necessary to secure locations and keep people safe. Those are their orders. More information will come to light, Nome expects, about the number of possible out-of-towners, people coming from out of state to participate in the events tonight. Again, no specifics on which other cities in South Dakota are preparing for something similar, but she says that the state is prepared throughout South Dakota. And again, she wanted to stress that the main goal of the National Guard was to secure downtown so local police and highway patrol could head to the mall where things were getting dangerous and violent. Brian, I'm going to send it to you.
Kelsey Passel, thank you. 10:43 on a Sunday night. We continue breaking news alert coverage here on Dakota News Now. This just into the newsroom. Sioux Falls Police reporting no serious injuries that they know of from tonight's altercation at the Empire Mall. No serious injuries that have been reported to them as of this time. Again, let's set the table for you. Mayor Tenhaken has declared a curfew that is now citywide, border to border to border, in effect from 10 o'clock until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. The only people that are to be out at that time is people going to and from work and those who, for whatever reason, may be seeking some type of emergency service. We just finished hearing from South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem talking about the activation of the South Dakota National Guard in an effort to quell unrest here in the city. One of the things we know, and this is from the office of Mayor Paul Tenhaken, is that the National Guard is currently on patrol in downtown Sioux Falls to make sure that nothing happens in this area like what we've seen happen tonight out at the Empire Mall. Carlene Wild at the Empire Mall, as she has been for us for going on 2 hours now. Carlene, what do you see?
Can you hear me?
Carlene, we got you. What's going on?
Much of that today.
Hang on just a second. What was that?
There's a vehicle coming.
Okay. Police right now are just doing what they can to continue to try and disperse this crowd. Hopefully you can hear me. I've been talking for a little bit here. Police continue to do what they can to try and disperse this crowd. There continue to be quite a few folks here that just seem intent on wanting to just continue this confrontation with police no matter what they're doing to ask them. They have continued to fire tear gas. We have heard that some rubber bullets have been fired, but we cannot confirm that. There are a lot of reports about what may or may not be going on here tonight. The damage for the most part has been to vehicles, both police vehicles in the parking lot. One of our news cars actually had the back window, rock thrown through it. We've got a lot of folks that have just had inhalation of tear gas in their eyes, but for the most part, it has been a relatively safe protest where this is concerned. But again, you've got a very small group of, for the most part, very young people here just doing what they can to continue to challenge this line of officers. There are dozens of city officers here in riot gear that are just off to what you're looking at here. You're right, along the front of the mall. There are a number of windows that have been broken out again. A number of the police cars have had their windows busted out. Highway Patrol just had some vehicles rolling in here a short time ago. And we spoke, I don't know if you can see these two gals sitting down here. We spoke with them just a short while ago. She, the one here in the front, is from Sioux City, and just said they just want this to be a peaceful protest and want their voices to be heard, and that is why she continues to remain here. She and her friends, a couple others, say they're not leaving, they're not giving up their ground. And we asked her what she hoped to accomplish with that, and she said they just want their voices to be heard. I don't know that that is the same case with the rest of this group. Again, police continue to fire tear gas into this crowd, and oftentimes what we're seeing is this crowd is picking up the canisters and throwing it back at the police line, which just happened with one of them.
Unbelievable.
This is not the way any of those involved with the initial event earlier today wanted to see this end. This was the concern all along. Brian?
Carlene, one thing that I'm trying to get a hold of here as I'm watching your coverage, and a couple moments ago we were able to speak with Zach Borg, who is sort of on the other.
I don't know if you can hear me, or Brian, if you had a question.
Yeah, Carlene, I do. Can you hear me? All right, it's very loud out there, folks. You can tell that from the car horns that are going off out there. Very tough for Carlene Wild to hear us back here in the studio. But what we were able to see during Carlene's report is, at the very least, it appears some flashbangs may have been deployed, and at the very most tear gas. That looked like it might have been tear gas that is continuing to be deployed as we approach 11 o'clock on a Sunday night with these protesters at the Empire Mall. Let's bring Jenna Lemaire into the conversation here. Hi, Jenna.
Yeah, hi there, Brian. I am standing right outside of JCPenney's here at the Empire Mall, and right now there's still a group. There was a bigger group, I'd say about 30 to 40 people right over there, but they have released tear gas. It looks like there's a lot of bangs. It's dispersed some of them already, but not all of them. You can hear them chanting, "Hands up, don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot." There's lots of cars surrounding the parking lot right now. People on motorcycles, lots of engines revving. Pretty much this whole parking lot, starting from JCPenney's all the way over through this TJ Maxx area and then back to my left as well. You can hear them chanting still, refusing to resist despite the curfew. There's a lot of people standing by watching as well, standing by, but yeah, there's still a solid group right here that is refusing to leave despite numerous tear gas heading towards them. So right now this is the situation. There's a lot of cars leaving, but still a good number of people standing outside. Cars also over here that are still here, motorcycles. So this is the situation right now out here. Pretty tense. People are really standing their ground for the core group that's here. I'd say there's about 20 people over here. So this is where we're at right now. So I'm going to send it back to you guys unless you have any questions.
Jenna, I've got a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So,
yep, I can hear you.
So we've seen throughout the night some cars and people leave that Empire Mall parking lot area, and then there's times where we go out to you or to Zach Borg or to Carlene Wild, and we hear a cacophony of horns. Are cars coming back into that area?
Yep, so you can see right here, some are pulling in, some are pulling out, but like you can see right here, they're still coming in. Sorry for the language. But yeah, there are cars that are pulling in. There's a lot that are pulling out, but it's really just like kind of shifting. One car will come in and more will replace. So it's just lines of cars. It's hard to tell where exactly they're going, but there's definitely cars coming in.
We just had a surreal moment. I know you couldn't see it, Jenna, but we've got a double box up, and in one of the feeds, we saw two guys slowly walking behind a car that was moving, almost trying to use the car as some type of shield from perhaps any sort of tear gas that might have been fired their way. This is what's happening in Sioux Falls, South Dakota tonight as we come up on 11 o'clock. You're in a different part of the parking lot, Jenna. Are you seeing anything at all involving any of the other stores at the mall, stores that are on mall property but aren't part of the actual mall?
No, as of right now, this has all pretty much been moved to the parking lot. So from where I'm at right now, I don't see anyone even touching buildings at this point. So we've got officials right now kind of moving all of this into the parking lot and trying to get people to really disperse. So I don't see anyone, coming towards any buildings that I can see from this angle, if that answers your question.
It does, Jenna Lemaire. You did that very well. Thank you so much. 10:52 on a Sunday night. Let's go back to Carlene Wild, also standing by at the Empire Mall.
Are we up yet?
We are. No, we will be momentarily. All right, so we are back right over in front of the mall where the police line has been all night since this crowd moved the march here earlier this evening. They got here about 9:30. Right now, besides the tear gas, it does appear that the units that are on the front line here are shooting some rubber bullets at those who are just simply refusing to leave. They're doing everything that they can to get them to leave without anybody being injured, but it's been apparent it's been more than a tear gas canister that has been fired at some of these folks. You had mentioned, and it appears somebody right there may have just gotten hurt. I don't know if that was with the tear gas canister that just went out or if it was one of the rubber bullets, but the gentleman that you were seeing running behind the car there, that is what they were looking to avoid. One of them did get hit just a few moments before you might have seen that shot. Again, there's not a lot of activity short of the police line up here. There are a number of bottles and rocks starting to get thrown back this way. This crowd absolutely not intent on doing what the mayor and the police are asking them to do, which is to peacefully disperse. In fact, you were asking Jenna about it. There are actually more cars coming in. I'm seeing a whole new line of headlights. Dave, right over here to our left, again, in front of the mall. People, whether it's onlookers or people coming in to further cause problems, we're not sure. But this is, again, what we continue to see in city after city after city. Once the original protests and this whole goal of trying to honor George Floyd's memory and create an awareness of what many believe are the racial injustices that exist throughout the country, whether it's in police departments or anywhere, that is the original intent of any of these marches and protests. This is certainly not the end game here tonight. It is what the mayor had been anticipating, what the governor had said would not be allowed. We do know that the State Patrol has added its presence here tonight. Again, we've got even vehicles trying to push through the front line here routinely. So this is going to continue to be the scene, it appears, here for quite some time yet tonight, and we'll continue to stay here as long as our camera batteries will allow, as this is the situation. Brian, back to you.
Carlene, people who are familiar with this area know that on the other side of Louise from the Empire Mall is a shopping area called the Empire East. It's a large parking lot on that side of Louise. I'm wondering if you've been able to see it all. Are cars leaving from the Empire Mall, going across the street, hanging out for a bit, and then coming back?
As far as I can tell, and Dave, they've still got our shot here. As far as we can tell from here, there is a steady stream of traffic, cars, headlights, as far as we can see, and no one really leaving this area. If they are, they're most likely coming back, those that have been here throughout the evening. So there aren't as many people here per se, and they continue to speak to the crowd over the, I don't know what you call them, but the loudspeakers through the police vehicles, and asking the crowd to disperse. But that is when the horns usually start back up so that nobody can hear them. There are dozens of cars literally at a standstill and that continue to come in and out of the east part of the lot here, yes.
A surreal night in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, friends, as we come up on 11 o'clock. It's 10:56. You're watching live continuing coverage of unrest in Sioux Falls on Dakota News Now. I'm Brian Allen in the studio. We have Carlene Wild out in the field along with our Jenna Lemaire and Zach Borg. We're very glad to have you with us tonight. If you are just tuning in, we need to tell you that there is a state of emergency that's in effect right now, citywide. And in effect, in conjunction with that state of emergency, is also a curfew that went into effect about an hour ago at 10 o'clock. It will run until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. The curfew initially had boundaries. It no longer does. The curfew involves the entire city. If you live in the city of Sioux Falls, you're under this curfew right now. We've seen from the video feed from the Empire Mall a couple things. We know that the Sioux Falls Police Department has responded to this, as has the South Dakota Highway Patrol, State Patrol. In addition, shortly after everything started at the mall, in the 9 o'clock hour, Governor Kristi Noem issued a order that activated the South Dakota National Guard to come to Sioux Falls and to assist with bringing all this unrest to an end and to regain and maintain control. What we can tell you, and this is from Sioux Falls Mayor Paul Tenhaken, is that some members of the South Dakota National Guard are currently patrolling the downtown area, downtown Sioux Falls. And again, we want to keep you up to date. As we're filling in the gaps for you, we continue to monitor live video, live coverage from the parking lot of the Empire Mall. And for a while now, we've seen a line of law enforcement officers hold their ground. And now what we're starting to see, we believe, is that line of officers advancing forward to a certain degree. At least they are closer to some of those cars than they have been throughout the evening. What, if anything, that means, we don't know, other than they're temporarily on the move at this moment in time. That's all we can tell you. That's all we can show you. We know there's damage to the Empire Mall. Water bottles were thrown at windows and officers. Looks like maybe another tear gas just went off there. We know that rocks have been thrown at officers and also at windows. Windows in some mall stores have been blown out. We also know that there's windows missing from Sioux Falls Police Department cruisers. We can also tell you that a window is missing from the back of a Dakota News Now news vehicle that's used by our photographer, Troy Timmerman. This is a picture of Chico's at the mall, and if you squint, you can tell that windows there have been broken, a direct result of the events that we have seen unfold over the last hour and 45 minutes, let's say, here in the city of Sioux Falls. This is live coverage. This is live video from the Empire Mall. One thing Carlene Wild told us that was a bit disheartening to hear is that for a while there, cars and people had evacuated from the Empire Mall area, getting the message from the flashbangs and the tear gas that maybe this is not the place to be. And there's another volley of tear gas, it looks like right now. More tear gas fired at 11 o'clock on the nose at the Empire Mall in Sioux Falls. But completing that thought, the people and the cars that had left the mall parking lot, our Carlene Wild and Jenna Lemaire, both reporting within the last 10 minutes that people and cars are now returning to that Empire Mall parking lot. So it's the exact opposite of what city and state leaders have advised. They've said, get out of this area, you don't want to be there. Some people may have momentarily taken that advice, but they have now returned. You can see that tear gas just wafting through the air right now. These are live pictures from the Empire Mall. Hopefully our crews are not getting caught up in that at this time. They just fired a flashbang. It went off out of frame, but you could see it sort of arc through the shot. Kelsey Passolt is in the newsroom with us at 1 minute after 11 o'clock. And Kelsey, we heard from Governor Noem not too long ago.
Yes, we did. Governor Noem talking specifically about the South Dakota National Guard and what their orders have been in Sioux Falls and what they have done in Sioux Falls this evening within about the last couple hours, I would say. I want to start off by saying that Governor Noem mentioned that the National Guard will be staying and doing their jobs as long as necessary, and they are prepared throughout the state, though she would not say which communities are expected to possibly see something similar to what has happened in Sioux Falls tonight, specifically at the Empire Mall. The National Guard was activated in Sioux Falls. They went to downtown Sioux Falls so local law enforcement and state police could go to the mall and handle the situation there. It was a violent and dangerous scene, so the National Guard really helped out by deploying in downtown Sioux Falls so local law enforcement could focus their resources on the Empire Mall, which is about 10 minutes away from downtown Sioux Falls, if you don't know the geography of the city. Her press conference, the National Guard was already in Sioux Falls, so they were ready for these orders tonight so they could respond as soon as possible, get the boots on the ground as soon as possible. Again, allowing those resources to shift to the Empire Mall. Governor Noem has commended the actions of law enforcement tonight, praised their response. She once again gave a quote that she gave earlier today, saying that mob rule and violence do nothing to honor the victims that peaceful protesters were working to honor. We're going to send it out to Carleen Wild again. You're looking at live footage at the Empire Mall.
Yes, thank you for checking on us. Thank you. Hey, just be careful because we're getting unsubstantiated reports of people with firearms. So
What was that?
there's unsubstantiated reports of people with firearms, so just be careful.
Okay. That was one of Sioux Falls police officers just coming up to check on us, letting us know that there are unconfirmed reports of someone in the area with firearms. So we are just being advised to be cautious, which we're trying to do. We are behind the police line right now. Within about the last 3 minutes, I believe, they have really pushed forward their line and they are getting everybody out of the parking lot. Again, there have been damages reported in other areas. They're telling the line to move forward. They have been firing tear gas. They have been using rubber bullets. They are working to get everybody out of the area right now. I believe because of that increased, at least what is believed to be an increased threat, they continue to fire tear gas into this crowd. And again, it really has just been a very different scene here tonight than what happened earlier today and the entire intent of this whole event. And we're still seeing a lot of folks that do not want to leave, that are doing what they can to resist what the officers are asking them to do, and that is simply to go home, to comply with the mayor's emergency ordinance. But we're watching this whole line push out here. We've got the National Guard, we've got the Highway Patrol, we've got dozens of officers here from Sioux Falls Police Department, many dressed in riot gear. You're watching all of this right here in front of us. I believe that the officer right here has actually got a camera that he's using to record the events. They have been asking all night, and they have been doing what they can throughout the evening to really help facilitate this event in the hopes that if everybody worked together and could show some unity in the whole reason that everybody's been here in the first place, that this might end very differently than how this has been playing out in city after city across the country. And it just is really unfortunate. The majority of people here tonight were not here to see it end this way. And this certainly was not the place that the police had thought initially that they needed to worry about. So the response here, it was swift. They did what they could to limit the damage here at the mall, and the majority of it that was done either to the police vehicles or a number of the businesses here, kind of the eastern half of the facade of the mall. So there's going to be some cleanup that's going to be needed to be done. Looks like officers are on the move. Again, all these cars are not, and a lot of these folks are really not willing to just go home right now. They are intent on staying out, and from what we were told, they want their voices to be heard. No one is quite sure what that means in terms of how they're handling the situation here at the end of the evening. But a few of them told us they weren't going anywhere tonight. So it'll be interesting to see where this scene may play out yet as we head throughout the evening. But we're going to continue to stay out here for now and be where we need to be as the night goes on. But hopefully no one's been seriously injured this evening, and this does, we do see daylight with no further damage or injuries. So I'm going to send it back to you in the studio, Brian.
All right, Carleen Wild at the Empire Mall, and we have been listening to Carlene and seeing pictures from her position all throughout the night, and they have most evidently told quite a story about what has unfolded in the city this evening. To Carlene's point about hopefully not hearing about any serious injuries as a result of all this, the last word that we had specifically from the Sioux Falls Police Department indicated that no serious injuries have been reported from this incident, from what we've watched unfold tonight out at the Empire Mall. We also know that in addition to Sioux Falls Police responding, that there has also been a mutual aid activation for the city of Sioux Falls. Typically, mutual aid allows other law enforcement agencies to come in and assist. We know about the South Dakota National Guard. That was activated by Governor Noem. We've also seen on the line there at the Empire Mall, in addition to Sioux Falls police officers, troopers with the South Dakota Highway Patrol. They have been right alongside those officers in their riot gear as well in an effort to keep the peace. The peace is fleeting right now at the Empire Mall. Carlene's latest report says that there are still cars that are pulling in to that parking lot when the order specifically is to not be in that area. And so that remains quite something for law enforcement officers to deal with at the Empire Mall at this late hour. State of emergency in effect for the city of Sioux Falls, specifically because of this unrest and the violence that we've seen as a result. The curfew went into effect at 10 o'clock tonight. It is set to run until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, this curfew is citywide. So what does this mean? This means you need to be at home. No matter your age, no matter whatever, you are to be at home. The only people that are to be out at all from now until 7 o'clock in the morning are either people going to and from work or anyone that needs to seek any type of emergency assistance or help. That's it. If you don't fall into those categories, stay home until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And again, we've told you, Governor Noem activating the South Dakota National Guard. This is a picture we want to show you. This is the first time we've had this on the air. One of our Dakota News Now vehicles that's typically utilized by our longtime photojournalist Troy Timmerman was vandalized tonight by protesters. Apparently a rock thrown through the back window. While the vehicle is a little rough looking right now, thankfully none of our crew members out there have been injured, and we are so very thankful for that. And did we have a picture of Chico's up there too? Did I see that pop up at all? Chico's is at the Empire Mall. There you go. Chico's is one of the stores out at the Empire Mall that has seen vandalism damage from rocks that were thrown at the mall by protesters tonight. A couple too many rocks collided with the glass, and the result is broken glass at Chico's tonight, and Chico's not the only store that has been suffering as a result. 9 minutes after 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, we are in expanded breaking news alert coverage here on Dakota News Now. Jacob Sersasimo standing by live in downtown Sioux Falls. And Jacob, what are you working on?
Let's see, I've got a latte. Hey Brian, yeah, I'm here on Phillips Ave, the corner of Phillips Avenue and 10th Street. And right now, it's pretty calm down here. Now, I know originally there might have been a tweet going around saying there was going to be some protesters come down here, but right now it's pretty calm. But in the press conferences earlier, I did hear that there is this National Guard presence down here in the downtown area. There's also a presence of some security. We talked to some business owners, and they said that they have hired security. So there is weapons down here, hired security for these personal businesses. And we talked to them, and they said, you know, they're just trying to protect their own business. Now, closer to 11th Street, kind of where we came from, 11th and Phillips, there was even businesses that had that were boarded up. They were boarded on the side just to kind of prevent everything that's happening. If you've kind of been watching what's going on nationwide, the windows, even down at the Empire Mall, windows being broken, and so they're trying to avoid that just a little bit. But right now, yeah, it seems like it's staying very calm here. Cops have been going back and forth. It seems like there is very much a presence of security here on Phillips Ave. Some of the business owners I talked to said, you know, even though there's not people down here, there is still security at these businesses ready if protesters do come. These business owners just want to protect the business that they have kind of worked their whole life to make the business what it is. But there is some traffic going down, but right now not a whole lot. There were some police officers walking around asking some questions. And like we heard earlier on those press conferences, there are some National Guard hanging around the downtown area if something were to come this way. But right now, it seems like most of it is out at the Empire Mall. Brian?
Jacob, I want to hang a light on something you said just to make sure that I heard you. Did you say that businesses in downtown Sioux Falls have hired armed security? There are security officers on site right now and they're armed?
Correct, Brian. Yeah, you did hear that correctly. There are some security officers that are hired, and I venture to believe trained, and they do have some weapons on them. Yes, correct.
Jacob Sersosimo live in downtown Sioux Falls to bring us the downtown perspective of all of this. Jacob, thank you so much for that. We are continuing our coverage here on Dakota News Now. You see that there is an emphasis, a focus on downtown Sioux Falls and what is or is not happening right now. Thankfully, our report from Jacob shows that things are not happening, but that there are people on standby who are ready to take action should anything happen in the downtown area. Our emphasis on our focus, and rightly so, for the better part of 2 hours now has been the Empire Mall in downtown Sioux Falls, where sort of a dispute has really heated up between some, not all, some who took part in what had been a peaceful protest in the memory of George Floyd, and Sioux Falls police officers, and we also know that highway patrol troopers are there as well. I believe this is a live picture from the parking lot of the Empire Mall. And I'm wondering if things maybe have not gotten a little bit better there. And the only reason I say that is that there are some officers without hats or helmets on right now. I don't know if we have any way of talking to Carlene Wild out there or Jenna Lemaire or any of our crews that might be on the scene out there. They are obviously still on scene. But to what, Carlene, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, have things gotten better out there?
Get out of here. Get
Okay,
out of here.
so we've got some cars returning
Get out of
to
here.
the parking lot right now. The officers did momentarily take their masks off. The majority of the parking lot was empty for the first time since about 9 o'clock this evening, at least when the crowd did arrive here. Right now they're taking their posts again. We do have a couple cars coming back. There's still a lot of traffic out on Louise Avenue. But for the most part, the majority of people have dispersed from this area. Excuse me. I think there's still a little tear gas in the air here, but there's still just going to be a heavy police presence here throughout the evening in an effort to protect the mall and to prevent any further problems. But right now it doesn't appear that there were any major injuries to the protesters that were here. It looked like some may have been injured by the rubber bullets that had been fired, we believe were fired, as well as just the injuries that you might suspect someone would get from breathing in tear gas. Other than that, none of the officers that were just being checked on as they got their first breather here this evening, everyone said that they were fine. I know a few of them had been hit by rocks early in the evening. So, but it's an interesting scene here yet. They're holding again their line, but right now there are very few around here that they need to hold it against. So we're hoping this continues to be the scene. Brian, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Carlene. We have multiple crews out at the Empire Mall in Sioux Falls tonight, Zach Borg being one of them. The last time we checked in with him, he was located at the outskirts of the mall, just a little bit away from the edge of the parking lot. So now he is at the Western Mall, we're told, and we're going to check in with him. Zach, what are you seeing there?
Hello, Kelsey. We are, as you said, we're live at the Western Mall. We'd heard some reports that there might be some people breaking in. We have not seen that as of yet. As you can see right now, there's some cars in front of the Reach and the Kids to College building. might be as much set up to kind of keep, in a sense, be kind of like a boarding up measure. But it's been pretty quiet out here. We had some officers who came by, asked us what we had seen, wished us the well. I mean, I got to say, they've been nothing but class. The Sioux Falls police officers that we've run into have done a fantastic job. Now I want Troy. I got Troy Timmerman, our photographer here. He had the car which had the window broken out, and as you can see right now, he had it broken out. He was in the Empire Mall toward the back end. We don't know if a rock was thrown through it or not, but completely took out the back window. There's some shards of glass on the inside, and that's been kind of so far the damage we've seen in terms of property damage, car damage, and the like. So at the point right now, this is pretty quiet. I mean, some things I want to tell you. I saw a young 12 to 16-year-old boy who went back into the Empire Mile. He asked me if I was with the news, and I said yes. I just said go home. Unfortunately, he went back in. We've seen some of that, but we've also seen a lot of kindness. We had a gentleman come by here, give us some water to wash out our eyes with and some food. A young man I interviewed earlier today by the name of Tyler Feldkamp. He's about 17 years old. He was at the protest. He said he went home and he said, be safe. There's a lot of dumb people out there tonight, and it's pretty good wisdom from a 17-year-old. A lot of the people we've run into tonight have been genuinely good. It is a few people that are inciting the violence. It's been a peaceful day, but it only takes a few people to obviously cast a pall on everything that's happened. Live from the Western Mall, I'm Zach Borg, Dakota News Now.
And Zach.
Yeah.
If you can still hear me, Zach, any police presence where you're at right now?
Yeah, we had an officer drive by. I think we saw another policeman as we were driving. We drove around the Shields lot here, so they are keeping tabs on it, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like there's any activity. I mean, every now and then you hear somebody say, this place is being broken into, that place is being broken into. So it's all rumor until we can actually see it, and we're not going to report it. But right now we have seen some police presence around here. It does feel pretty safe, but we will obviously be here if something changes.
All right, Zach, thank you very much. Zach Borg reporting at the Western Mall tonight, which is just a few minutes of a drive west of the Empire Mall east of the Empire Mall in Sioux Falls. The Empire Mall is where the violence and the destructiveness has happened tonight. I'm not sure if we can pull up another picture of what we're seeing there. That is really where we're seeing heavy police presence. Protesters as well. Again, that is the Western Mall that we're looking at now, which appears to be very quiet, thankfully. Still police presence at the Empire Mall now. Again, just a few minutes down the road on 41st Street in Sioux Falls. From what I can see, I see just some police there. I don't see as many demonstrators. Brian, I think you can agree with that. And also, we do have Carlene Wild out there still. Carlene, how's it going out there now?
All right, Kelsey. So we are still here in front of the Empire Mall. Some of the
I tell you what, folks, we are stretching our equipment to its limits tonight. So we apologize for any audio issues that we are having or communication issues that we're having. Obviously, something got interrupted there as Carlene was trying to tell us something about what was going on at the Empire Mall. From what I saw, I could see a lot fewer people there, and it seemed a lot quieter as well. Early in the evening, we were hearing constant honking, a few shouts from people, just the few people who still remained in the parking lot who were refusing to leave. But just from the shot we just saw, it seems that things are calming down a little bit at the Empire Mall. Over at the Western Mall, where there were reports of, the crowd potentially moving there, that seems to be extremely quiet, according to Zach Borg. We have Jacob Sersosimo in downtown Sioux Falls last we checked. We're going to head out to him now. Jacob, what are you seeing?
Hi, Kelsey. Yeah, I am in downtown Sioux Falls. I was just on the corner of Phillips and 10th, and we are going to walk the block to Phillips and 11th and kind of show you that some of these business owners are outside of their businesses, but